It is quite strange that Sony decided to spend 10 minutes of their half-an-hour presentation on yet another team PvP shooter, the game that no one wants. Well, it's not true, of course. There is a large player base that enjoys this type of games. Ultimately, a game of any genre has its own target audience, but who is the target audience in this particular case? It should be people who enjoy Overwatch or Valorant or Counter-Strike, but why would they switch from an already existing game to the new one, which doesn't look like something new or unique? When you create a video game, you need to understand what you compete against. And that brings an interesting discussion of how certain genres decline over the years. Remember when PUBG came out and became extremely popular, and then Fortnite added Battle Royale mode as well? Companies wanted to create more games of similar types, and it worked for Apex Legends and Warzone, for example. But if you would decide to make a Battle Royale game now, it would be extremely risky. You would need to create not only a really good game, but also add something that would draw people from already established titles. Another example is MMORPG, though it's a bit different. After 2004, when World of Warcraft blew up and many different game companies wanted their own share of Blizzard's success, MMORPG market became oversaturated, and many games were launched just to die within years. Nowadays, it's even worse. You need to compete not only with the most popular titles that have been around for over a decade, like WoW, Guild Wars 2 or Final Fantasy XIV, but also with lots of live service games. Riot has been developing their own MMORPG for the past several years, and it doesn't go well apparently, as they've ultimately decided to reset development. Most likely they just realized that the game will not provide something that would interest players enough to move away from the games they play now. And the League of Legends setting alone is not enough. Remember when they launched Legends of Runeterra, a card game? It did become somewhat popular, but not to the levels Hearthstone once had. Though, to be fair, the CCG market is probably the one that has the potential to grow right now, as there is no main game at this moment. Hearthstone is not nearly as popular as it was 9-10 years ago. Marvel Snap is great and I love it, but it's not as popular as it could be. Oh, also, remember when the last successful MOBA game was released? Me neither. Why would you risk creating the game to compete against League of Legends and Dota 2? Well, unless you're Nintendo and want the game on an established franchise and exclusive to your own platform. But anyway, let's go back to PvP team shooters. Ubisoft released XDefiant a couple weeks ago, after years of development, and I do not hear any discussion about this game. Here is where I put a graph from Steam charts to show how many people are playing XDefiant, but Ubisoft decided not to release this game in Steam or even Epic Store. It's exclusive to their own launcher. We can compare the game's popularity on Twitch, and its numbers are quite underwhelming. It's somewhat comparable to Overwatch 2, but if you check Valorant's numbers, it's nowhere close. Another example is The Finals, which was released 6 months ago, and while the initial start could be considered successful, the game's popularity dropped drastically. And now Sony decides to announce their own multiplayer FPS to compete with those games. In general, Sony's recent history with multiplayer games is not that bright. In 2021, they released Destruction All Stars, and it was included in PS Plus subscription, and no one cared. Personally, I found this game to be fun for like 20 minutes, but it's not something that I would want to play consistently. The only big recent success was Helldivers 2, and they still managed to fuck it up with PSN requirement fiasco, and while they've backtracked on this decision, the game is still not available in more than 170 regions on Steam. But it's all speculation, of course. Maybe Concord will be different, maybe it will be a really good game and will provide something unique and fun. We can't really judge the game based on a short gameplay trailer. Maybe this game will be a huge success for Sony and they actually know what they're doing. Oh, right.